Oh, snap.
Whoa,
TTMT.
let's go.
What's
King D
good,
Money, let's
man?
go.
Let's do it again.
What's
Let's
going
do it
on,
again. Let's
man?
do it again. We got this, baby. We're back once again on the
Yes,
Next Level Nation. Let's
yes.
go. Are
Podcast,
y'all
let's
ready,
go.
man? We're ready. We
We
got we
guys
got
ready?
another guest for y'all. Phenomenal guest. She filled out the questionnaire to how it was supposed to be done. Let me stop. All my other guests, we love you too. All
She's the
right.
template for
But
this.
yes, yes. When you come up with good questions, you want these type of answers. So I'm gonna let TTMT get into it once his screen goes back from black. All right, cool. TTMT, get into it, man.
All right, man. We have an amazing guest today on the podcast. We have Stefani Watson, featherweight kickboxing champion of Premier Fight League. This is our third fighter on, but it's our first female fighter that's going on to the podcast, and she's going to kind of give us a blow-by-blow play-by-play of her fighting technique, who she is, what she's doing, what she's continuing to do. And without any further ado, she's one of my good friends as well. She also works out with me at Marfort Gym in Muay Thai, and she's an excellent fighter. Has a great attitude when it comes to enduring a lot of things in her life. She's also a mother as well as a fighter, and and actually still working on certain things in her life that she wants to continue. She's going higher and higher. She pushes herself more than anybody in the gym. Like there's only a few women that are in the gym, and Stephanie's the person who pushes herself probably the most at everybody. And even when she's ready to give up, she still continues. So she's really just an inspiration as a person, as a fighter, as a mother, as a Christian, just trying to navigate her way through. And she keeps on going regardless of the things that she has to contend with. And so without any further ado, Stefani Watson. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey guys, thank you all for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Yes,
I,
you
Yes.
are absolutely welcome.
Oh my
Absolutely
God.
welcome.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Good to have you on. Let's go.
Yes. Let's go. So tell us a little about yourself, Steph. Where you're born, where you come from, what's your background?
so I was born and raised in South Florida. I've been here my whole life. Born at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. So a lot of people ask me that. For some reason, they say I have some kind of accent. So they ask me where I'm from. It's like, I mean, South Florida is a melting pot. So I'm pretty sure I have just picked up accents from everybody that I've come across. But yeah, with Miami, a Miami girl. I've been all over South Florida and Broward County. I'm currently in Broward County now after Hurricane Andrew. My family moved up to Broward County. So yeah.
Sweet. While TTMT is fixing his technical difficulty right now, I ask you the next question. Okay, so let's get straight into it, right?
All right.
What got you into Muay Thai? Our audience wants to know what got you into Muay Thai.
Okay. So I didn't even know what Muay Thai was when I first signed up for it, to be very honest with you. It was during COVID time that I was looking for something to get into gym wise. I've always liked like group exercises and um, more than just going to the gym. So during COVID, I was just looking for something to do. I had my third child, probably like she might have been like maybe two-ish. And so I was just ready to get back to feeling myself again. And when I was looking, there was no gyms that were open. I'm Googling, I'm searching, and I found Team Moffort in Coral Springs online. And I'm like, what in the world is Muay Thai? I mean, I knew what kickboxing was, but I'm like, what in the world is that? So I'm searching what that is. And that's how I initially found the gym. And when I went, I was pleasantly surprised at how much I loved it. And I haven't looked back since. So yeah, that's when I originally got started was during COVID time. And I was just going crazy at home with my kids. I was working from home full time, and I had two children. Two of my older kids were in school, so trying to navigate their online learning, working, and then I had a toddler, just trying to keep her out of trouble while I'm, getting all that. I tell people all the time jokingly that during that time, if I would have been standing off a bridge or something, I might have jumped. So I was desperately looking
You
for
know,
something fun to do and get out of the house away from everybody. And so that's how I found Muay Thai.
you got to go. You have to go when everything is going crazy. You got to find your own thing. You got to find your own lane to do, and that's important. I feel like that's important for everybody.
It is.
Like, like my thing is always finding something new to do um, that I don't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like part electrician, part podcaster, part teacher, part part
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But it's a compensation for what's going on. I'm like, okay, everybody else needs me. Okay, cool. You need me, but I need something for myself to do
100%.
so that I can be here for y'all.
100%.
And you gotta break. You gotta break. You gotta be able to break through and do your own thing. Speaking of doing your own thing, now before Muay Thai, this was kickboxing. Like TTMT said before, you were or are, I don't know yet, the featherweight kickboxing champion of the Premier Fight League.
Correct.
That that is quite the title,
Yeah.
man.
Especially thinking of where I started, I certainly didn't think I would end up there.
Let's get into how you started that.
Yes, I mean, originally I just needed some exercise. I just needed to like take some baby weight off. Of course, I was blaming it on my child like 2 years after I had her. Still was baby weight, whatever.
That's what they're
Um,
there for.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's how I originally started. And then also, I was also interested in like learning self defense things. So I'm like, why not learn both at the same time? I would say probably about a year and a half into it, um, I started getting what some folks at the gym would call the competition bug.
Oh.
And I've always had a growth mindset. That's just something I've always had. Like, so once I once I get somewhere, I just want to keep growing. And I think that's why I fell in love with Muay Thai and martial arts, is just because learning is really endless. I mean, even pros at the top of their game are still training, are still doing fight camp. And that's because there's still something new to learn and improve on. So I think that's why I grew to love it. But then I also kind of got scared because I was like, am I ever going to be satisfied? Because knowing how I am, I just want to keep going. So yeah, about a year and a half, I'd say I was started thinking, should I compete? And I started thinking maybe I was good enough to try it out. But I didn't tell anyone initially, not even at the gym. I didn't even tell my coaches because I'm also the type of person that I want to go 100% in when I say I want to do something. So I wanted to make sure that I actually wanted to do it before I opened my mouth and told my coach, "Hey, I'd like to compete." Um, and we had folks at our gym that were competing. They're a lot younger than me, and students, young adults, didn't have the kids and the bills and the this and the that. So I needed to make sure it was something that I felt comfortable to commit to
Mhm.
before I mentioned it. So I would kind of like up my game a little bit during training. When I would see the guys preparing for fights, I would try to like push myself to kind of do what they were doing. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I might be able to do it. And so eventually I opened my mouth and I asked my coach, hey, I'd like to compete. What do you think? And I personally was prepared for them to say, are you out of your mind? You're not
Mm.
fast enough, you're not strong enough, whatever. That's what I was prepared for. And to my surprise, they said, do it, just do it. And I'm like, okay then. But that's how that started. Yeah. Oh, and oh my God, I'm in love with martial arts. I'm in love with Muay Thai. It's just, yeah, man. I love it. I love it.
Now
Good, good.
you're the one who pushes yourself probably the most out of every female that's there. I mean, there's no other female in the gym really who kind of is competing like yourself, right?
Right.
Now
Yeah,
it
I try to convince them,
then
but I can't get them on board.
you can't get anybody on board. You're like the unicorn out of everybody. Do you? How do you feel like? How do you feel like the fact that like you're the only one there doing it? Like, there's nobody to compare it to, really. There's no one to say like, hey, there's another fighter that like. Do you have any association with any other fighters outside the gym that you guys train, or you just really it's just like really on you?
Yeah, I would say it's really on me. I mean, I,
Mm,
I don't want to say I've been a loner most of my life, but I know and I recognize and I'm accountable to myself for the fact that I'm
mm,
the only one who can push myself to do anything.
mm, yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really just an internal drive. I mean, I'm super grateful for how far I've gotten because without my
Mm,
coaches, without my teammates, I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it without them. But it's definitely I learned something kind of early too in the martial arts that um, your coaches are going to push you extremely hard.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
learned that it didn't matter what I did the day before. It didn't, and you've seen me train, 2 classes, 2 hours every day. And it didn't
Yeah.
matter what I did the hour before. I had to push myself like I just showed up. Didn't
Mhm.
matter how sore I was. And then I learned that there's a difference between the folks that do what your coaches tell you to do, or that your coach is like, hey, did you run? Hey, did you do this? Hey, did you do that?
Mm,
Um,
mm,
and the coach that has to actually tell their trainer, hey, take it easy. Let's pull back a little bit. You're doing a little too much. And I knew I was going to
yeah.
be that person as opposed to the one that had to be like dragged to do extra miles and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because
Yeah.
again, that's why I wanted to make sure when I said I wanted to do it, that it was something I was going to fully commit to. So, yeah.
Did you make the decision to start doing it every day and then taking more than one class? Because one class in our dojo or our gym is brutal by itself, and you're coming every day and you're taking multiple classes, so you're exhausted by the first class, and you're doing another class. Sometimes you take even more than that. When did you make that decision? Did the coach like Freddie tell you like you should take more, or you just said this is something I'm going to do, and I feel like I need to be up on this on my endurance or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I think that I knew that the folks that I'd probably be competing with were going to be younger than me. Because it's not based off of age, it's based off of experience level and weight. So,
Okay,
and as well, this is the first thing a sport I have ever competed in. I have never competed in any sport. So
interesting.
I didn't consider myself to be athletic. I still don't. I just work hard. So
Mhm.
I just knew that I needed to put the hours in, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
It had
Yeah.
nothing to do with, oh, I need to, my cardio or this or that. I just knew I needed to put the hours in. And I can honestly say I believe that I'm a slow learner. I'm not ashamed of now in my age that you once you get older you don't care about stuff like that anymore. But you learn how you learn, and I just
Yeah.
know that I have to do things over and over and over and over. And it may take me some time to get it, but once I get it, I'm good. So yeah, so that's really why. And it's funny enough, I think that um, my my coach at that point then expected me to be there twice a day. And
Yeah.
then it was like, where's Stephanie at? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't, and this is not to say anything, but I know that I don't really see any of the other folks that are competing there that many hours during the week, and I think it's just like I feel like I needed to play catch up. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and just try to. not just
Love
be parallel. I want it to be better, obviously, because I want to win
obviously.
competitions.
Right.
And in
Correct.
order to do
Exactly.
that, you got to work harder than the person that's you're going to be competing against.
Absolutely.
Talking
D.
about working harder. Now in the questionnaire, I saw something that kind of shocked me because I want to do it. Um, I believe it was the count for the half marathons is
Okay.
incredible. All right, I
Mhm.
am. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? I forgot how many. So how many half marathons? Help the audience. How many half marathons have you done?
So I did 12 half marathons in 3 years.
What? Oh
3
my
years.
gosh, Steph.
Within 3 years,
Unbelievable.
3 years is even. Ooh, chills. Ooh.
yeah, I did
I did
4.
one marathon
And
for
again,
sure.
it's one of those things I did not set out to do that by any shape or form. But
Mhm.
and when I first decided to do my first one,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even run 30 seconds.
Ooh.
I hate running. I
when,
hate running. Definitely
when
my
Freddie
kryptonite.
says, I want you to run a 10 mile, you're like, ah.
It's my kryptonite for sure. That was
Interesting.
when I started running. That was probably one of the hardest times in my life. I was going
Mhm.
through a lot with my marriage, and it was starting to kind of fall apart. And we were on the road to divorce. And I
Mhm.
also my middle child, who was my youngest at that time, was in the process of being diagnosed with autism. And
Wow.
so at that moment, I was young, and I thought I knew the path that I was on, and I'm thinking, okay, I got my family, I got my children. This is what I wanted for my life, and then that kind of like
Mhm.
come tumbling down. It was
Crumble.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like,
Ooh.
where am I going? Where am I going? So
Yeah.
I just decided that like I needed to do something that I hated. I don't even know why I decided that. I just did.
Something I hated. To get the anger
Um,
out. The
Hate it.
anger had to come out of somewhere.
yeah,
No, man.
yeah, I guess so. But I just needed to like, okay, let me take control of something in my life because nothing is going my way at
Mm.
this moment. And I had to decide,
Yeah.
okay, what am I in control of? Well, not much.
Mm.
But I can
Yeah.
make myself, go do this. Which was and
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it started. And then I actually, it's funny now that I didn't even think of that prior to you asking me that.
Mhm.
um that's how I started competing, that mindset, competing in Muay Thai. When I
Ooh.
decided, okay, I'm gonna sign up for the first one and let's see what happens. I
Mhm.
told myself, you know what, wherever the road leads, I'm just gonna be
Mhm.
open to where it goes from here. And I'm a planner by nature. Like that's just, I like to plan. I like to have plan B, plan C. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I approached the marathon running, and then and also this Muay Thai thing. And it's actually been the best thing for me. So don't plan. It's not, oh, it's crack.
Just go ahead and do it, right? And I
Just
like
go with
running,
the flow.
and I've only done two marathons, a
Were
6K.
they
And
halves or
I think they're probably halves too. They're probably halves, but it was
Ooh.
it was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and I never did them again.
Mm. The most I've come to a half marathon is going to pick somebody up from one.
uh,
Um,
Hey,
I think it was like a
I'm gonna come
I
and pick you up
think
and give you some water.
you learn so much about yourself in running because you're by yourself. It's
Yeah.
quiet. All you
yeah.
can do is try to like survive,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're alone with your
I like the
thoughts.
yeah. I like the point of when you get your second wind. That's like the best part of like running. When you're like, wow, I think I'm like gassed out by this time and I'm still running. Like I still have some gas in the tank. That to me is the best part of running. Like you're like running and you're like, usually I'd be tired right now. I'm going. That's the to me that's the best part about it.
Oh my gosh,
So
half
how does
marathon.
God play a part in this for you, Steph?
Oh
Sorry, D, I
man.
didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. So I was actually raised in church. Um,
Mhm.
and honestly, during the time or that time frame, I would say when I started running marathons, and I felt like my world was crashing in. Well, more my plans that I had made for myself were crashing in. Um, walked away from God. I was very angry at Him, and I remember telling God, I'm angry at you. Leave me alone."
Mm, I hear you.
Yeah, yeah, and interestingly enough, even though I had distanced myself away from God, I found God in so many places.
Mm,
Mhm.
I saw Him working in my daughter.
Mhm.
There were times that I were like just in odd places, and just strangers would come up to me and just like start talking to me and encouraging me, and then bringing up scripture and things like that. And I'm like, okay, that was not what I was expecting. And so
Yeah.
I didn't have to be in a church building during that
Mhm.
time, and God was still like kind of chasing me at that
mm,
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give all credit to God for the fact that I'm even here. And that's really where my strength has come from, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Him, for sure. Um, yeah.
Wow. Good. D, you're gonna say something.
wow. I mean, there's some things you just can't explain. Like I think I have that thing where people come up and
Mhm.
talk to me because they say like, oh snap, oh snap. I don't know what it is. It's like, oh come on, like I want to talk to you, and most of the time, I'm getting to the point where it's my turn to speak up about God.
Mm,
You know,
Mhm.
it's like people will come up to me, but it's that season for multiplication for me, and I have to like I feel it like I'm like I feel God knocking at me like, come on, you can talk about me. I've been your God. I've been
Mhm.
Adonai today. I need you to go ahead
Mhm.
and say what you need to say. The testimony can be the the biggest thing for the next person that you need to give, you know? And
Mm.
that's one more reason why we even do the podcast. It's because we got a
Yeah.
testimony to tell. And it's way better to give God his stuff when he asks for it than to be
Yeah.
sitting there holding on to it
Yeah.
or be that person that got one talent and hit it in the ground and saving it for
Mhm.
later. Like, nah,
Mm.
you don't want to do that. Let's go
Yeah.
multiply this. Let's go make D&D Level Up podcast. Let's go turn that into Next Level Nation. Let's go put Stephanie on the podcast. You
Watson.
know,
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
right.
He was an
That's
amazing
right.
person, by the way.
And it's really dope. I am completely lost at where I'm going to go next because there's just so much information on here. Uh, let's talk about family, because it's important. How do you think your upbringing has changed how you bring up your family now? Or do you think it was always going to be something? Did you have a vision for how you were going to raise your family? And then did it change? Did it stay the same? Are you what changed about it?
yeah. So growing up, even though I grew up, I guess, in a religious home. My parents, they were not happy in their marriage.
Mm.
So they took a lot of that unhappiness out on us. And so that was also a hard thing for me growing up in the Christian home, was seeing the brokenness of the family, but we were so involved in the church, and Bible studies in our home
Company.
every day. My parents, my parents were ministers and all that stuff. So it was
Oh
hard for
wow.
me as a child
Wow.
to because that was my life. I mean, that was all we did, was we went to church every day. Um,
Mm,
and then when we would come
Yeah.
home, our home was just, falling apart. And as a child, I couldn't understand why that was, right? And so um, the only piece, I think, when you get older, that you start to maybe when you're younger, you start, you think of all the bad things that I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But then as you get older, you realize, okay, well, there were good things that, were in my upbringing. And so for me, I just wanted to, um, give my kids not only the foundation of, having God in their life and a moral compass, from the Bible, um, and also like how to navigate your life, right? And how to treat other people and things like that. Um, as I got older, I learned that there was things that we just weren't applying in our lives, in our family
Mm,
life. It wasn't that there was something wrong with the Bible or the what was being taught. It was they didn't know how to apply some of those things in our family life, right? So,
mhm,
um, yeah. So for me, my vision was I wanted my kids to know that they were loved.
mm,
I wanted them to know that there was a safety net for them. I wanted them to know that, you know, what a strong family unit was, even though I didn't know what that was really. And I had to like kind of find my path along the way, which is a hard thing to do when you don't have like an example, right? So, um, that was my biggest thing, and that was something that was always really, really, really heavy on my part. I actually, my son, who my oldest is my son. I have a boy and two girls. I remember he was like 13-ish, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and I had a nightmare. And I used to have nightmares every night when I was a kid. Like I suffered
mm,
from nightmares all the time. But as an adult, it kind of went away. So when I had that as an adult, I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? I thought I was over this.
mm,
And it was a childhood memory, which is what was crazy. And I was a young kid, and I was just like, what in the world? Why is this hitting me like this? And I just remember, um, talking to a good friend of mine, and they were like, because I was afraid. I was really, really afraid that I wouldn't accomplish at least those things. As a parent, you're gonna make mistakes along the way. I mean, there's just nobody's perfect, right?
right.
But there's some
Right.
goals that you want to try to achieve. And like I said, my biggest thing was I wanted my kids to know they were loved. I wanted them to feel safe. I wanted them to feel like they always had mom, no matter what. Um, so yeah, so I remember one of my friends just kind of saying, "Hey, Steph, take a step back, look at
Mm,
your kids. Where was your mindset when you were 13?" Which is what my son's
Yeah.
age was there. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, man, when I was 13, I hated the world. Like I I I was like, yeah." And then I
Yeah.
see my son, he's happy, he's not who I was, or not the
Yeah.
negative things, right? And I said,
Yeah.
okay. So I was actually able to, for a moment as a parent, say, like, take a deep breath and say, okay, we're here. We did it. We're okay. We're on the right path, right?
mm.
And I don't think I was able to give myself that credit before that moment. Um, and so I don't know if that happens in other people's lives as they're raising their kids, that they get to some point where they're just like, okay, or they can actually say they feel a little bit of relief. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's
are the mis? Go ahead. You're gonna talk.
no TTT. You good?
What's the misconception stuff with you being a fighter and also being a mother? Like, what are the misconceptions that people think about when they think about a fighter or a woman fighter, and then the things that you have to deal with as a mother and a fighter?
Um, I would say there's a lot of misunderstandings, I think, and I don't know if it's just personal to me, but I don't feel like I fit the mold of what most fighters are, because I am a mother, and but anyway, I would say some of the misunderstandings probably is that maybe I'm not a good mother, or I'm not
Mm,
an or I'm not an involved mother, because
Yeah.
because I have to sacrifice a lot of time to dedicate to my training. And I think that maybe some folks might, I know, I do know some, like family members and stuff that are like, what about your kids? And I'm like, trust me, my kids are
Yeah.
fine. They're being taken care of.
Yeah.
Because I had to learn as a young mom that I'm a family member just like everyone else in this family. Um,
Yeah.
and because a lot of times we put ourselves like at the complete bottom of the scale. And although as a parent, we do sacrifice, of course, for our kids, we put them first and then we kind of get the leftovers. But I had to learn that in order for mom to be a good mom, I also have to pour into myself. Um, and I think I kind of wish now, like, talking to my mom and stuff like that, I'm like, I kind of wish my mom would have poured into herself more too, because I think that may
Mm.
have also helped her be happier in her life. And as later on, I realized that maybe that was also part of something that might have been missing. But and I check in with my kids all the time. I'm always, hey, you guys all right? And do you,
Yeah.
I still love you, right? Even though, and I take them with me all the time. My
Yeah.
little one might end up being a fighter one day. I don't know, but
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm
It looks
talking
like
about.
it. He brings it all the time. We see
Yeah,
your children all the time at the
yeah,
same
ra-
yeah.
time.
raise them up in the way you should go. If you, hey,
Well, I'm
somebody
not.
somebody's gonna look and see you and go, yeah,
Yeah.
one of them has to at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah.
that's another thing too that I'm really hoping and praying that I'm teaching my children with my actions is that they know they're home with us. They know when
Yeah.
money's tight. They know when things are hard. To transparency, I'm a single mom. I live in a one-bedroom apartment with three children. They know how we are. So people at the gym may not know how we live, but that's just what it is. So for a lot of people, and as a single parent, well, one income is just it's challenging. So I think showing them that mom wants to do something, she wants to accomplish something, and she's able to somehow manage to balance things and still put that time in, because there's times I'm running at 4 o'clock in the morning. I remember there was one summer, one couple months before summer break, that my son had to take the city bus to school, so he needed to go almost 2 hours before, and I had to get up at 3 in the morning to run. And then, the evenings and this and that. So they've seen the sacrifices that I've made and I hope that I've shown them when you really want to do something, you're gonna make time, you're gonna commit to it. And, never did I like make them less of a priority. I just figured out a way to fit it in.
I hear you, because
Nice.
that's life, balancing things. Because life is going to life. That's one of my biggest things. Life is going to life. You got to decide what you're going to do. You can say you don't have time, but everybody's got the same 24 hours on the planet. And I don't know what's going on with the sound, but
It's
it's
not,
going to look crackly.
yeah, I hear that too.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's us or the machine, but we're gonna keep on pushing because it's a really good podcast.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, I'm
Excellent.
it's really bugging me, but I'm gonna live through it. I'm gonna make it. Life is lifing right
Life
now.
is life, and
Life is lifing. This is not the hardest struggle.
Life is life.
Um, it's tough, but hey, moving forward, right? An inconvenience at most. Um, you were talking about family, and I believe that to watch you, um, as your child is common sense to go, hold on. She did some things. There's gonna be times. There's gonna be in every family you got somebody going, "Oh, mom didn't do this or mom didn't do that," but then you got those people that are like, "What are you talking about? Were you in the same house with me?
yes, yes.
Because
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
gave me, she showed me this, she showed me that, she showed me this, that, and the other." But there's always that one that's like, I don't believe all of that. And I'm like, where do you get this from? And
Mhm.
you can't not being, I'm not a mom, so I can't speak from that perspective. But
yeah, yeah.
as a child,
Mhm.
I can speak from knowing that other siblings have they tell the story a different way. But being consistent, being there, showing that you want that there's something, if you want it, you got to go out and get it. Those are one of the biggest lessons that they just have to see. You can't tell them, that you know, there's no speech for, oh, you gotta get up, go do it, make it happen. I
Mm.
believe kids learn more from common sense, and common sense is what they see. They go, oh, she's doing that and it's reaping her these benefits. I can see what it's doing for mom. And I believe that's one of the biggest lessons that we could ever teach is to live to live the life that we're talking about. Just like in the word, sometimes we get so wrapped up in just learning the word. And a lot of people will tell you that, oh, there's this saying down here in South Florida for me, the devil knows the Bible back and forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He studied it. He studied it better than you, so that he could trip you up and just change a couple words around and make you think that it's this way. So it isn't about that. It's about how you live it. And if you're living the word, if you've got the fruits of the spirit in you, if you got those things like long suffering, if you got those things like joy and happiness, that can be bigger lessons than having to give a speech to anybody at any day. And
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
tough when you go home and you don't see a reflection of the word. But that's a lot of people's story though.
Sure.
Like, oh
Sure.
my
Yeah.
gosh. But I mean, church every day, and but you got the hate of somebody inside of you going on, and it's like, what's going
Yeah.
on? We just read all of
Yeah.
this. This is it.
Mm.
I'm telling you my story too. I'm like, we just read all of this, but we don't believe God can pay this $200 bill.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
We just read all this, but we don't believe that God can bring us
Right.
out of this thing a champion or a winner. You
Right.
know,
Mm.
we read all of this, but we don't love on each other. We don't love on each other to the point where people know that we're Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And it's a tough thing to be like, hold on, man. There's just there's just some things about not seeing the word lived in your life,
Yeah.
you know? And I really, it's really tough. I'm like, because sometimes you look around like, man, you not living, that's not it. How you go to church? Your dad is a preacher, your mama's a preacher, all your family run the church, but y'all got some type of craziness going on in y'all house. Can't nobody explain it.
Right.
And it doesn't line
But
up with the word.
it
Yeah.
doesn't line up with the word.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure people would love to use, life be life, but I'm like, you also read the word too. And the word says differently. Which one do you believe? Which one do you want to live? Which one do you want to live?
Right.
And living this thing it's a journey every day. And I'm glad I could do it right here on the podcast. TTMT. Any questions,
Yes.
man? Yeah.
Yeah. I got just like one or two questions for you, Steph. What is going back to like the portion where you're fighting, right? Because really emphasizing your life as a fighter, and you've been fighting your whole life. It seems based on the questions we've been talking about, right? So, what was your first mentality going into that act when you won the featherweight um, kickboxing
The
medal,
title.
or was it
Okay.
the title? So, tell us about what you're thinking about when you're going in. What happened? What's your mentality? Go ahead.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess my mentality was I knew the girl, so it was a rematch for my first fight. Um, so I think in a way that kind of put me, I don't want to say put me at ease, but it put me a little bit at ease because I already knew her.
Mm-hmm.
However, at the weigh-ins, I could tell weigh-ins is when the day before the fight, where you get to kind of like go in front of your opponent and do all that silly stuff and take
Mm-hmm.
pictures. And I realized she was very emotional. I could just
Mm-hmm.
feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, we got this. I'll be honest with you. Fighting is very nerve wracking because you know the person in front of you is definitely trying to knock you out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I was actually I was very happy my second fight, and it actually kind of scared me because I was like, "Why am I so calm? I am so calm." But I have been like that with all three of my fights, to be honest with you. And I'm like, man, either I'm really
Mm-hmm.
crazy or this is just meant to, I'm meant to do this. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to be this calm. But my mindset, to be honest with you, was I worked so hard for that title
Mm-hmm.
fight because it was supposed to be 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
That I just felt like I've put in. I have prepared. I have done
Yeah.
everything I can possibly do to prepare for this fight. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so all I can do is just face it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so for me, I was able to be happy in that moment and very present in that moment just because, you prepare. I assume, I don't know, but I imagine if you have to question, did I do enough before you walk in the cage or the ring, that would be a lot more nerve wracking. I don't want to be in that position. Yeah. It's you're preparing for battle.
Mhm.
I'm not going to just walk in there not feeling like I've done everything I can do to prepare for this day. So
Mm-hmm.
it was fun. I very quickly learned in the first round, within I'd say the first 30 seconds, that she had every intention of knocking me out.
Mm.
um, so there was a game plan, of course, before the fight. Okay, this is the game plan. We don't know what's going to happen in a fight, so we got to adjust as needed in the middle of the fight, but we have a game plan. Um, and I just remember how aggressive she was the first round. But in my head, I was still pretty calm. I'm like, okay, we know what to do here. And I remember after the first round going in the corner with my coaches, and I couldn't tell you what my coaches told me. I just remember being in my head. I said, "Okay, Stephanie." I talk to myself a lot. I said, "Okay,
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Okay.
um, we're gonna have to turn up the heat." Oh, because she's not gonna slow down as quickly as we thought she was. And I think that you
Mm-hmm.
can apply that to life situations too. For me, fighting is like life. And maybe that's why I
Yeah.
enjoyed it so much. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's life, man. It's literally like
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
You have challenges that are tough, and then some challenges that really try to knock you off your feet, and you have to adjust and fix it. So you can come out. So,
Come out unscathed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But did that answer your question about mindset of going in the second fight?
Yeah, it did. It did. I mean, one thing I did want to also say too is that what about do you feel that fighting all these men in the gym has kind of prepared you to fight women? What's the difference? Do you feel like more prepared because men are kind of like you're letting them come at you, and they're men. Of course, they're kind of stronger at a certain point. Women
Mhm.
might be more brutal. I would think they're more ferocious. Like I feel like women are
Women
like
are vicious.
ruthless.
Women are vicious for
They're
sure.
like vicious.
Oh,
Like they're
we
like
gotta talk about
literally
this.
vicious. Like in fighting, like we fight, but we're not like ferocious. Like we're fighting to hurt and injure, but we're not ferocious. Women are like, I'm trying to kill you, like literally.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
tell me the difference.
So I've actually cross trained at other gyms as well. So I've also have been able to experience training with other women, and it's definitely different.
Mm.
It's definitely different. I would say when from with training with men, 100% makes it a lot easier to fight a woman. You know, as you said, men are just naturally more stronger than women. So getting hit by men is you know, when you get hit by a woman, you're just like, oh, that's nothing. You know, I'm not dealing with that. You know, that's not to take away from women that are very strong and they
Yeah.
will surprise the heck out of you. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's just different. It's different. Women are definitely more
Yeah.
emotional when they fight,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can
I feel
feel
like,
that. You can feel that in the
yeah, you could
punches.
feel it. You feel like, I mean, I feel like they're just trying to take your head completely off. It's not, it's, you know, when guys fight, we're fighting. And you, of course, there's a certain level of respect and certain level of like, yeah, we're here, we're doing this, right? But with
Right.
women, it's literally like I
Life
am
and death.
fighting for
Yeah,
my life.
yeah,
I'm going to kill you if I can. That's
yeah.
how I feel. I feel the energy, and it's
Ah,
way more brutal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
way
yeah.
more brutal.
He's right. He's
Yeah.
right. Well, I will say the one thing that I try to learn from men is they're very calm in
Yeah.
fights. Like you said,
Yeah.
even not fights, but like with training, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I try to take that piece of
Yeah.
that men have that's good about
A
them. They know
component. Yeah.
compartmentalize things and just stay
Yeah.
focused on the task. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, for women, it's just kind of like life and death, and they're just going crazy. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I like both, but for me, like you said, just knowing again, I kind of like want to push myself always higher than what I expect in the
mm,
ring.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I think that's the best way to prepare for a battle because I don't know, that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
my thought process. I want to avoid as many surprises as possible. So, you know, getting hit by a guy who's 20 pounds or more than me, it's, you know, it's not an easy task.
mm,
Uh,
mm.
you know, sometimes you have to, as a female competitor, I have to gain the respect of the men in the gym. You know, sometimes they don't want to engage with you. And you know, when I
Mm.
first started, I had to tell the guys, you know, hey, you're not helping me. You know, if you're really my
Mm.
training
Yeah.
partner, like you gotta like come at me and you know, I'm not saying don't kill me because obviously you can hurt
Yeah.
me, but you
Yeah. Of
know,
course.
give me something to work with because if you're too easy on me, then I'm
Mm.
not gonna know how to handle that when the time comes.
Mm. Gotcha.
I hear you. Training is woo. I was just gonna. You took
Yeah.
the word out of my mouth when you said somebody
Compartmentalize.
said, yeah.
Compartmentalize. That took me
Somebody used
forever
that
to learn
word
that word.
from me, and I was like,
Compartmentalize. That's practice.
this makes so much sense, right? To me,
Mm.
sometimes, and I feel like for me, the fighting mentality is always from the man side in my head. So
Hmm.
I go, you know
Mm.
what? We're not just out here to throw hands. Like we're out here to get points. We need to get
Yeah.
up here. We got goals and we got a goal in
Yes,
mind. Like so if I
yes,
really wanted
Mm.
to just fight this person, I could have just fought them without the
exactly,
ring being there.
exactly,
Correct.
We could have just fought outside in the parking lot. We
exactly.
go, but
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
it's like speaking from the outside, it's like this is like really really nuts to me. Like I don't ever plan on getting hit, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen one day. Um,
Wow.
like I don't know. You guys have that on me, man. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
that's
It's not
that's
as
that.
bad as
I
it
might
seems
try
the
that.
first time.
It's not.
Ooh,
When you get
It's
punched
not.
in the face, it's not as bad as it seems, right, Steph?
Yeah, once you get hit the first time, then you're just like, oh, okay.
okay,
It's
that
that
was
Yeah.
first hit though that has you really like nervous.
that's like me when I on my birthday we went skating, and I'm not a skater.
Mm.
I haven't skated ever. It's really really bad, and I'm just holding on to the wall. And after I fall one time,
Right.
I'm like,
Mm.
okay. I'm like, I'm out there
Yeah, it's
like,
not
okay,
that bad.
let me keep going. Okay. So I'm feeling that. But I'm also
Yeah.
feeling TMT in his next question. I know he's got one for you. And we're wrapping it up.
Yes.
TMT.
It's been excellent. So, last question, Steph. Can you share basically a failure, a setback that you experienced that and what you've learned from it, even somewhere in fighting? Even it could be personal, whichever you choose that relates to your fighting.
or something you want other people to know about it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. So, okay. I'm trying to remember what I had thought about. Um, well, to be honest with you, again, I translate fighting a lot to life. Yeah. So for me, I'll bring it back to life circumstances. I would say some of the setbacks that I have had, to be very honest with you, one of the things that I never thought was going to be as challenging as it has been, um, is finding your partner, finding your romantic partner. Like, out of all the things that I thought about, as a young adult, oh, money, trying to get a career, all that stuff. I never thought this was going to be like this challenging.
Yeah.
hey,
Um, anyway, so I think so. A lot of my setbacks, to be honest with you, have been around that. Just making poor decisions. With that, I try to instill in my children, and then I'll share it here, is that, take your time. I think I was
Yeah.
like, I think naturally as humans we want companionship. I think that's just natural. I don't care who you are. I don't care, how independent you are. That's just a natural human thing. And so I always tell, for me, I always tell even the younger kids at the gym, get to learn yourself. Take your time on
Yeah.
learning yourself and understanding what you actually want in a partner.
Mhm.
I think that sometimes we get a little bit too caught up with like a laundry list of what we think a partner is supposed to be. And yeah, there are some like fundamentals, right? That mostly everybody wants. They want an honest person. They want, different things, right? But I think understanding that, like, what's good for you, what you might be looking for in a partner may not be necessarily what I want, because, you'll sometimes you'll look at friends relationships and you'll be like, oh my God, I would never put up with that.
mm,
But they're okay with it, right? Or the other
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
around.
Correct.
So getting to know yourself and understanding what it is that you're looking for in a partner does take time. So I always tell my young kids and my children, I say my young kids like the guys at the gym, and young
mhm.
girls at the gym. Yeah, just get to know yourself. Don't co-sign on a loan with anybody.
Yeah,
Say
never, never.
that.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do
Um,
that.
and pursue your dreams, pursue your goals, regardless of your relationship status. That was like a big thing for me. I think I wasted a lot of time, not pursuing things that I should have, because I was,
Mhm.
desiring a relationship with someone, or maybe I had just started a relationship with someone, and I'm like, okay, well, let me put that off a little bit and see if that works out. Maybe then we can do that
Mm.
together.
Mm,
Trips,
Yeah.
buying a house, other things, right? Just kind of putting it off, like, oh, I want to do that with the person I'm with. And I now, being 40, almost 41 soon, I wish I would have taken those trips. I wish I would have just
Yeah. Yeah.
pursued some of the, things that I put off. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, yeah. So that's
Excellent.
man,
Excellent.
that
Excellent.
this we have been taken down. We've been on a
Yeah.
journey today, y'all. Man, I feel like I can relate to so much, and so much I might not be able to relate to. You know what I'm saying? Half marathons, nah, I'm not there yet. I'm still big back community, you
we got to
know.
get you signed up for it.
But I gotta just get out there and do it. From
Yeah.
what I've been
Yeah.
hearing, man, you just gotta fall. You just gotta fall that first time. You
You
just
just
gotta
gotta
get
fall
hit
the
that
first time.
first time.
Get hit that first
Get it,
lick.
get
That's
in there and
king.
get it done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're out to the races. You're having fun. You're doing your thing. If I was to say anything was the a word for the day, it'd be consistency. It'd be
Yeah.
consistency, ferociousness,
Yeah.
courage. You
Yeah.
know, there's so much from this podcast that you guys won't get, and we just want to bring you guys people that are doing it. Okay, we're
Yeah.
not going to talk about
People,
it no more. You can't say we just. You guys are talking about fitness. We have somebody that's been on and done 12. What is this? 12 half marathons. It a
yeah,
kickboxing
exactly.
champion. Uh,
Yeah.
look,
Just
a
just do
fighter.
it. Just
A,
do it.
a mother of three. A fighter.
No
Okay,
excuses.
okay. She's a
No
fighter.
excuses.
No
Yeah.
excuses. There's no excuses, and we don't want to hear anything about your excuses anymore. We brought you Stephanie. We brought you her story.
Yeah.
And if you were listening, you heard the ferociousness in this. We got so much
Exactly.
ferociousness ready to go, man, right here on the Next Level Nation podcast,
Level.
man. And if you don't know TTMT, what they say,
Now you know.
now you know. Hey guys, this is
Yeah.
great.
Stephanie.
Hope you guys check out the other
Stephanie
podcasts.
Watson.
Thank you, Stephanie,
Thank
for
you,
coming
Steph.
on. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you
Peace.
so much.